We're back. It's summertime, and that only means one thing.
Season 2 of Inside the League. Welcome into MVI Live in Season 2 of Inside the League. I'm Mon Valley Independent Assistant Sports Editor Jose Negron, joined by Mon Valley Independent Sports Editor Jeremy Salou. Jeremy, another season.
Another season. It feels great. Well, not great to be back from vacation, but knowing I'm coming back straight into day one of the MVI Summer Basketball League.
Yeah, very exciting things to talk about here as we kind of preview the season, talk a little bit about the teams. We'll start out with the girls division and go from there, talk about the schedule, talk about the roster, some of the new faces that are entering the league. But one of the big things for me is just the influx of talent that's entering and already joining a very talented crop of players.
There are a lot of teams that are going to be a problem in this year's league. It's all about parity. We've said it numerous times at the draft. I know I missed the meet and greets last week. But, yeah, I mean, there's so much talent in this girls division now that every game is going to be an issue for all our coaching staff. And, you know, I mean, what more can you say about from top down? I mean, AMD returning champion, undefeated season last year. Can they do it again? Can they run the table again with every team being such a talented squad now? I mean, last year, Edward Jones struggled a little bit. They didn't make the playoffs, but, you know, even Coach Larry Cash, he didn't do a Coach Larry Cash at the draft this year. He picked well. He got himself a decent-looking team, and there's no gimmies this year.
No, there's a group of 6 teams that are going to be vying for playoff spots. I don't know if we'll see an undefeated team this year. I know AMD is riding this winning streak, but with the talent that's in this league now and on these other teams, I don't know if we'll see another unbeaten streak for AMD.
I don't know. I know assistant coach Noah Yarton is counting the streak.
He is.
Much like Naz Victoria did, and we saw how that ended up in week 1 of his season. But just looking at the schedule this week, opening night is tomorrow night at Marx's Court time. All girls games have switched to 6, 7, and 8 p.m. It'll open things up with Edward Jones against Cedarbrook at 6 o'clock. I know I'll have the coverage of that one. I'm really interested to see in the Cedarbrook team under new head coach Mariah Ward. The 7 o'clock game is the feature games each week are going to be at 7 o'clock, the middle game, so we can try to get as big of a crowd as we can. The rematch of last year's championship game, AMD and, dare I say, partially my Monessen Florist MoFlo team. And 8 p.m. State Farm, Dax Thomas State Farm against Lee Supply. 2 teams very familiar with each other, of course, with Coach Rodriguez and Coach Slagus there battling that one out in the nightcap.
Yeah, and then Wednesday, the second group of games for this week will be AMD versus Cedarbrook in the 6 p.m. game, Edward Jones taking on Lee Supply at 7, and Monessen Florist against State Farm in the 8 p.m. finale. And then next week we'll have a little bit of a week off for some AAU. Obviously, this summer is a little bit different from last summer. You know, a lot more tournaments, a lot more leagues that are going to be, players are going to be participating in this summer, so given a little bit of leeway, so no girls' games will be played next week.
Right. We will have the boys' games on Tuesday and Thursday, but we will not have the girls' games Monday and Wednesday. And to make up for that, the next 2 weeks, the girls will play Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So 3 games. We're excited. That gives us live coverage on Saturday's edition of the Mon Valley Independent. Again, this is the premier basketball league in the Valley. Don't miss it. Top-notch talent. Come out the court time. I know last year, Commissioner Chad can, testify. It was a struggle at times. We had, restrictions. People were sitting outside watching our live streams. No restrictions this year. No. Come on in, pay your admission fee, donate to the league, which ultimately donates to the players, and come in and watch this stuff because it's going to be good.
Yeah, I'm
It's gonna be
excited.
real good.
I'm excited to see the new unis too. We got some new unis
Yes.
for the players this year, so it should be exciting. We also have an online store in which people
can buy your unis.
can buy some merch.
Yeah.
So be sure to check that out as well. But very excited to get to the start of the girls' event.
I think that's the part I missed about the meet and greet the most, was watching the girls get the uniforms. And then, Chad, you could testify. How'd that go? Did everything go great?
Everything went well. I mean, the girls were shocked when they saw the quality of the shirts, and kudos to MVI for just green lighting the amount of money we spent on them.
Right. But, I mean, like you said, they're fantastic looking. If you haven't seen them, check out the MVI boys and girls Twitter feeds. They're all up there. And, like I keep saying, that Lisa Ply jersey, that's a Supersonics, man. I mean,
it is.
And not to be biased, but the MoFlo black jerseys are pretty sweet. But yeah, so we're just going to give a quick season preview. We'll give our thoughts on each team. After we do the girls division, we're going to take a little halftime.
Yeah.
Then we'll talk about the boys division. We are here on the deck of my house.
Yep.
Rotating decks this year, I think. We're going to deck parties every day.
I might have to build one now.
Off your apartment?
Off my little. I'll see if my landlord's.
We'll make it work.
We'll make it work.
Yeah.
We'll sit right on the corner like a lemonade stand. It'll be good.
Honestly, I mean, we can. My stoop looks pretty nice
we can do
nowadays.
We can do anything you guys want.
But first of all, with the girls division, you have to start with AMD.
Yeah.
12-0 last year. Coach Bria Rathway lost. Justice Rollins is an assistant coach. He's studying for the bar. How dare you? But Noah Yarton steps in, and looking at the roster, yes, they lose Kaylin Vinick, who was the Melanie Greco Most Valuable Player last year. But you look down the roster, Eden Williamson is still there. They picked up Marina Grotto from Gateway. Bailey Brinton is still there. She was a force last year.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I think she was more of a force in the summer than she was during her regular season for Elizabeth Ford. So, Olivia Cox is still there. She'll be shooting. Kira Gerard, the kung fu death grip she puts on the ball. She's a scrappy player. Obviously, can you say they're the favorites right off the bat?
I think you have to. I don't think, obviously losing the most valuable player is tough, but when you have a player like Eden Williamson back, who's only a junior, Tasia Troxler-Scott was huge for them last year. They get a first-round pick in Mallory Daly from Seton LaSalle, who has a relationship already with Bria Rathway, who played with her sister at Carlo. And Daly's probably going to be tasked with just stepping right in there and taking Kaylin Vinick's spot as, that point guard, as that offensive presence. So AMD, they're coming back as the favorites. There's no doubt about it. And, I said that, maybe they might not be undefeated this year, but they have to be the favorite. It's going to be a lot tougher for sure with the balance that is in this league. But, there's no way you can't consider them the favorite.
As a writer, I hate the cliches, but, to be the best, you got to beat the best.
Yeah.
And right now, AMD is on the top of the MVI mountain. So you have to knock them off. And until somebody does, I think they are the favorites.
Yeah.
Looking at Cedarbrook, we can't say anything more about the job Mariah Ward did at her draft. Her first draft, I know she was a little nervous. You could tell when she come up to the mic. She gets Alyssa Clutter, who re-entered the draft after leaving Edward Jones. Then she comes back, get Ellie Snyder from Latrobe, Ayanna Wade, the talented freshman from Clairton. She has Katie Hoff already on that team. She drafted Mia Johnson. I know Coach Chad and she was on our draft board as well. So, talented group there from Cedarbrook. Again, a no-brainer to take Clutter the first pick overall. Just everything she brings, the athleticism, the leaping ability, the shooting ability, her ability to penetrate. Cedarbrook, start from the bottom, now we're here. I think that could be the theme of the season for them.
Yeah.
As this season moves on.
I think Mariah Ward did such a good job in the draft that she put Cedarbrook in a position to contend for a playoff spot.
Absolutely.
Right out of the gate. When you combine Clutter and Hoff there, it just opens up so much for the rest of the team. And you mentioned Ayanna Wade, only a freshman from Clairton. I know Mariah Ward's very big on her. Probably the future of this team. You have her for the next 4 years.
I was remiss to forget to talk about Jasmine Dunn.
Yeah.
We saw her at the tryouts. She took leadership wherever she was.
Yeah.
And being a senior from Woodland Hills, she'll immediately, along with Clutter, be called upon to help lead that team.
Yeah, and we saw her, during tryouts be on the same court as Ellie Snyder too, and they worked really well together. So that's going to be a thing too, is how well these girls who haven't played with one another are able to, coexist and be able to build camaraderie as the games go on. But I really like the way that Mariah Ward was able to draft the Cedarbrook team, and obviously you add to Katie Hoff, who's one of the top scorers and top rebounders in the league last summer. So should be very interesting to see how her and Clutter kind of lead the way for this team.
And the thing is, for Katie Hoff especially, a lot of times last year she had to do everything herself.
Right.
Now she's going to be freed up. She's going to be in space. If you have Wade bringing the ball down or Clutter, they'll probably interchange a little bit, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
But, that frees Hoff to go post to post, block to block. And, who knows what she can do when she has, she can't be double teamed, maybe even triple teamed with help defense,
right.
as much.
And let's not forget, too, they have, some returning players who are going to provide size. Jocelyn Dawson and Amanda Bedzik from Elizabeth Forward. Haley Johnson from Monessen. We've seen her really improve from last summer to this year, especially after having one season with the Monessen Greyhounds. So, there is some talent here that's already returning. Callie Cunningham from Sarah Catholic will definitely make an impact as well. So Cedarbrook's definitely going to be a team to watch out for.
Absolutely. I'm excited to cover that game first right off the bat tomorrow night. They'll be playing, I believe, it's Edward Jones, correct? And looking at Edward Jones and Coach Larry Cash's team, a good draft. Ivana Sales, the number 2 overall pick, senior from Peters Township. I think that was the most important pick in the draft just because Larry Cash needed some leadership on his team.
Yeah.
And bringing in a senior that can score inside, outside, everything that Ivana Sales can do, that's what Larry Cash's team needed.
Yeah, and he did a really good job, too, of adding some youth around her as well. Adding Alyssa Terza from Elizabeth Forward, someone that we saw a handful of times. We saw her have a really solid freshman season for Crystal Gibbs and the Warriors. Kara Dupilka from Latrobe, Carmen Vasquez, another Woodland Hills standout. Right. And then the league MVP, the upcoming league MVP from Norwin, Tori Sadesky, the junior, who's going to definitely make an impact for Edward Jones. And, we mentioned at the draft too, if he can get Viva Kreis, if she can make an impact this summer, that'll definitely help out Edward Jones as well. And obviously you have Presley Colditz coming back. You have another, Lainey Gurdich, another junior from York, and some other seniors that are definitely going to help in terms of leadership.
And the thing with Lainey Gurdich is if she can stop fouling as much and actually spend the time on the floor instead of on the bench in foul trouble, that's going to be huge because when she's on the block, she's a beast down there. She'll pull down rebounds, she'll get the putbacks. She's played with a little bit of a floater last year. I mean, we got to get Big Joe in there to teach her that skyhook, and she'll just be unstoppable in there.
She's definitely an offensive force, and that adds a lot to what Larry Cash has brought into this team with his draft. So going to be interesting to see what Edward Jones do. They definitely got better throughout the draft. Obviously losing Alyssa Clutter is tough, but he had that second pick right there, and Ivana Sales I think will fill in that void.
For sure. Looking now at Bell Vernon head coach Caitlin Slagus and her Lee Supply team. I'll tell you what, I think she got the best player that was at tryouts. That's for sure.
She was on your draft board for sure.
And she would not trade out of that spot because she knew who everybody wanted. She gets freshman from Woodland Hills, London Creech. You couldn't miss her at the tryouts, not just because of the talent she showed, but she had the real long red braids. I mean, she just stood out everywhere she went on the court, inside, outside, penetrating. There was nobody, and she was so fast coming down the court. There would be somebody in defensive position, and she would just blow right by her. It's just was amazing to watch.
And she's going to kill me for saying this, but you guys missed the meet and greets.
Yes.
Slag went on the court and played with the girls. As soon as she went on, she went up for a turnaround little layup. Yeah. And Creech blocked her.
Uh-oh.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, and listen,
I'm texting her right
now. I let her know at Eaton Park later that I did see it.
But the one person on the Lee Supply roster who we will not see that. Well, I'm sure we'll see her, but Abigail Whaley out after a knee injury. She's still on the roster on injured reserve, but Jenna Dawson returns. Macy Miller, the head coach, Kathy Miller of Trinity, her daughter is playing. Jasmine Fisher, we know she likes to shoot, and Emma Reynolds, freshman from Shar Valley. She got snagged in the second round by Slagus, and that is a project that I can't wait to see how she works with Caitlin. We all know about Caitlin's accolades, All-American at Bucknell, but man, with Emma Reynolds and the size she has as only a freshman working with Slagus, I mean, that for the next 4 years, she can be a problem in this league.
Yeah, and getting size, being able to get some bigs, that was kind of big for Lee Supply. You have the talented guard play with Jenna Dawson and with Jasmine Fisher, and obviously losing Gracie Fairman this summer was tough for this Lee Supply team. But looking at the returning players that they have and this, what Caitlin Slagus was able to do in terms of bringing in youth. She brought in one sophomore and all freshmen.
Right.
So she really helped the team, not just for this year, players that are going to step in and contribute, but the next 4 years. This Lee Supply team is going to be really solid with Creech and Reynolds, Macy Miller, Skylar Still from West Mifflin, Tatum Olchak from Plum. Just players that are really going to be around the next 4 years and be able to lead this team.
Without a doubt. And, she brings back Angelina Mazzi, who's a track star, good athlete. A lot of speed on that team. That's one of the things I noticed right away was how much speed they're going to have. And we mentioned, I mentioned earlier when we started talking about Lee Supply, Jenna Dawson alone coming back is going to be huge for her.
Yeah.
Jenna Dawson has been around Slagus for so long, and now, Slagus is her coach at Bell Vernon. So Jenna was there watching this kind of stuff Caitlin wants to do as a coach, and now she's going to be able to translate that onto the court with Lee Supply, and it's going to be exciting to watch.
I don't think there's going to be a more motivated player than Jenna Dawson. After losing out on her sophomore season at Bell Vernon, I think she's going to come into this summer, with a chip on her shoulder, and I think she's going to go into the high school season with a chip on her shoulder for sure.
I could see that. I think there's going to be some great success coming for Bell Vernon this next couple years at the high school level. But moving on now to Monessen Florist. Team MoFlo.
You saved the best for last. I see what you guys did there.
You aren't last.
We're not last.
Oh, okay.
We still got
Sorry
State Farm. we still got State Farm. But the one thing that stands out for me looking at this and being on vacation last week, I missed a chance to go to the meet and greet and, meet the girls. But obviously I know a lot of them. But, Chad, you really liked my Bria Ringloff pick, didn't you? You really liked that.
She's going to be good. She's going to be real good.
Yeah. In the draft, obviously, one thing we wanted to address was putting somebody with Hannah Pugliese, and I think we got that in Essence Davis, daughter of Stu Davis, who I watched while I was in high school, watched him play, and he was just a monster. But, we talked about, Stelany Lutzen coming back. We get Kate Clark. What a leader she's going to be for Sarah Catholic this year going into her sophomore year. It's going to be exciting to see, obviously more playing time coming there. And there's two little 8s I see here on the roster. 2 8th graders on the Monessen Florist team. After this year, we're only going to have one draft pick the next 2 years. But we are built for the future, that's for sure. But, yeah, just the 4 returners, Macy Justice, Bella Corrado, Hannah Pugliese, and Stelany Lutzen. That's a pretty good core to come back with after the first year of the league. But now you add Clark, Maggie Spell. I think I've maybe only seen her miss 1 or 2 3-pointers in the tryouts.
She's going to be good.
She's going to be good. And the first round draft pick, obviously, Lainey Yater, gave us the ball handler we need to take over for Emily Vienick, who obviously graduated. So I'm excited. I know Chad's real excited, but I haven't even got to be there over the last week. So I can't wait to get on the bench. And, I'm kind of the hype guy. I'm not going to do all that much coaching.
I'm the hype guy. You're the technical guy.
Yeah, Chad's definitely
technical foul guy.
Chad's definitely the hype
we
guy.
see some things. I like to play that mental game. So
Right.
just we'll be all right. We're
Yeah.
gonna be all right.
Mia's the X and O person, obviously, huh?
She's definitely the brains of the operation.
She is definitely the.
There's
brains
no
of the
question about
operation,
that.
without a doubt.
I don't think anybody questions
Thanks,
that.
Jose.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm excited. I think Pugliese and the other coaches even know it. Pugliese and Davis inside is going to be a problem. I think it's kind of the opposite. Everybody's going to get up and down, up and down, up and down. Well, while the Monessen Florist team can do that, I think there's going to be a lot more inside out.
Yeah.
Okay,
kick the shooters.
Stop giving
Sorry.
away our blueprint. I
Sorry,
appreciate
my
it.
fault.
Thank you.
You're just going.
Jose,
I wasn't there.
It's the total insight in this actual show. We give you all the insight, but we have to pull back a little bit.
Yeah, you need.
We have to.
I think Jeremy
I'm
needs
just
to
excited.
understand that we're giving analysis, but you're starting to give some other extra stuff here.
Oh man!
And on to State Farm, Jose.
I think every other team should really appreciate this.
You don't have to
season
say
one
anything
debut.
about Menneson Florist. I gave away the farm.
You did.
Start with State Farm.
I don't have anything else to say.
Jose.
Yeah, Menneson Florist. There you go. I hope you guys are writing stuff down. We got State Farm. Dax Thomas State Farm. They bring back some really good talent. Chloe Portash and Emma Cito, 2 seniors for this squad. Ella Kupka from Chartiers Valley, the sophomore. Haven Briggs from Elizabeth Ford. Tessa Rodriguez and Lydia Zogelman are back, and they really added to it. The one name that sticks out. There's another Vinik. Riley Vinik from Trinity, incoming freshman, joins the fold. Cameron Piper from Penn Trafford, another freshman, and then 3 other sophomores in Agatha Nikolai, Erica Hall, and Kenzie Saliga. So adding some youth here for this Dax Thomas State Farm team. Obviously, you look at it and you realize that you lose 4 seniors after this season, and those 4 seniors are pretty much the kind of the face of this team. They're the what you're kind of building around here. So a good job by Tom Rodriguez in building around that. Julia Benlock, who he acquired in a trade with AMD Industries, a sophomore from Bethel Park, also coming into the fold. So we'll see what State Farm can do here, adding some young talent surrounding their veteran leadership.
Here's my question. Who's going to handle the ball?
They have a lot of ball handlers.
They got a lot of ball
Yes,
handling on that team. Between Rodriguez, we know Vinik can handle it. Zogelman has handled it. Briggs has handled it. Kupka has handled it. Portash has handled it. But then again,
that provides...
and that's not a bad thing.
That provides a lot of matchup issues for other teams.
That's what I told Tom. I said, you do realize you're only going to be able to play with one ball. Right. There, right? You know that, right?
Right. I mean, not that everybody's a ball hog, but, everybody's going to want the ball.
Right.
And there's a lot of ball handlers out there. But the one thing it does give him is the ability. You don't know what angle it's going to come from because all of those ball handlers can take it to the hoop. They can pull up and shoot. They can distribute, obviously. So State Farm, they got the size with Cito inside. Kupka, we'll see how she comes back off an injury. I know she said she's going to be ready to go for sure.
Right.
But, still, I'm sure her head coach at Char Valley's going to be like, slow your roll a little bit,
I think the big thing here for State Farm is losing Kendall Weston. I think that was definitely a big loss. She's out for the summer because of an injury that she's trying to get healthy for. Obviously, I believe her senior season, correct,
yes.
at California under new head coach Melanie Greco. So, she's trying to get back and is going to miss the summer, and that's a big inside presence that State Farm won't have, which is kind of why Tommy Rodriguez went with some of his draft picks to kind of fill those voids. So it's going to be interesting to see what the State Farm team can do. I think in terms of, veterans and players that have been in big games and have, played well, they might have the most coming back, and aside from AMD.
I would definitely say they're the most experienced team. I mean, he's going to be able to throw 4 senior starters right out onto the floor right away. So that's definitely an advantage, especially considering all these girls played in the league. And there was a lot of girls drafted that haven't played in the league yet who, you do the tryouts, you do the meet and greet, but still, that first game, there's going to be some butterflies until you get acclimated, and which is what the girls division does different than the boys. They have the meet and greet. The girls get to know each other. They, it's not really a practice. You hang out, you shoot, you do some layups, you do a couple little things, but the biggest reason for those is so the girls get acclimated to one another.
Yeah.
And then by the third game, everybody knows where everybody's going to be on the court.
I think the biggest thing, and this is more so than wins and losses, but this senior group of Chloe Portash, Emma Cito, Haven Briggs, and Lydia Zogelman, they have an opportunity to take some of these younger players, these sophomores and freshmen that were drafted, and be leaders to them, and be just a veteran presence, and help them get better. That's what this league's all about. You want to win a championship at the end of the year. There's no doubt about that. Teams want to get to the playoffs.
And we've said it how many times. If you want to get better as a player, this is where you want to play.
Right. And
you want to play against the best.
And I think that's
the only way
you're going to get better.
That's not us saying it. That's the coaches. They're actual
Yes.
high school coaches. Reach out to you. They see us.
Yes.
Wherever,
Yes.
and they say, "Hey, thanks."
I mean, Coach Miller from Trinity came up to you at the end of the
Yep.
season last year. I know she was able to come and watch, the Phoenix and the championship game and stuff, and she said that, coming into this year, she was really excited. I know she texted me, and I still haven't returned her call, but she said she's so excited that her players have this opportunity to play in this league against the best.
And look how many are here.
Right.
Yep.
I think
Look how
they
many of
lead.
those
I think
yeah.
they lead. I think
And
they
I
have
think-
the most representation.
I would have to say, out of everybody that's involved in this league, I think that she would know the most about basketball.
Right. One of them. Right.
I think she's been around the game a
and
lot.
She made a push. She wanted her daughter in the league.
Right, exactly.
Her daughter's a sophomore at Mount Lebanon, so we're happy to have her. I'm sure we'll see her. She'll come over. She introduced herself last year.
Yeah,
I'm sure we'll
excited.
hang
we're
out with
excited
us
to
and-
see all these people and the relationships we build with them. I mean,
Right. We see them all
it's
season
great.
long. It's great that they come up to us when we're live streaming and stuff. So it's exciting to see, and we make it a point to go say, hey, Trinity's playing here. Let's go. Let's go see the
Absolutely.
Trinity girls. So it's exciting for us, and I don't want to, but I think we need to make some predictions
Here we
about
go.
the girls
Let's do it.
division.
Here we go. I've been
You got
waiting.
first?
Are you
You
going to
go-
mess
you
this
make
up
it?
like you did last year?
Am I going to mess this up? I only had to mess it up because you messed it up. I can't agree with you, Jeremy. If you pick the best team,
Do I have to make a prediction even though I'm a coach on a team?
You have to.
Oh,
You're wearing
your bias has gone.
You're
gone
always
far
wearing
enough.
the Frazier hat, but you have to wear the sportscaster hat right now, Jeremy. So
Okay, I'm good. I can
Make sure
I can
you
give a
just make sure
prediction.
there's a difference between the two.
go ahead.
He's first.
You want me to go first?
Go ahead, Jose.
Well, I mean, there's no way else to put it. I mean, AMD's winning it all again. There's you got to go with the favorite, and
This is such a 180 from last
and that's
year. It's
well,
such a 180
well,
from
Jeremy.
last year.
Last year you picked first, and you picked AMD. I can't agree with you.
Why? I can agree with you.
No, you can't. That doesn't make for good viewership. The surprise team,
okay.
the surprise team for this year is going to be Cedar Brook.
Yes.
There's
That's
no
a
question
no-brainer.
about that.
That's
I
a
mean,
no-brainer.
they're going to go from having the number 1 overall pick to probably being a playoff team. I think they, without question, are going to be a playoff team, and I think that they're going to be a legitimate contender for a championship. What Mariah Ward was able to do in the draft, you can't deny the talent that she brought in. And it's going to be interesting to see what these young players can do for her. So that's, I think, going to be the surprise team of the year, and you can't go against AMD. If you want to agree with me, that's fine. Last year I didn't agree with you. So.
I am along the lines of thinking, like I said before, to be the best, you got to beat the best. AMD, I think just a little bit.
Yeah.
I think they still have the edge over everybody. I do not think they will go undefeated.
I don't think
will
they'll
say
go
that.
undefeated
I don't think
either.
they're going to go undefeated.
I think there's just too much talent here. But,
Right.
that the way Bria Rathway's had that team prepared every step of the way has been, very impressive.
Bria Rathway's out there practicing at the meet and greets.
Yeah,
She's out there
absolutely.
practicing.
Absolutely.
And these girls, she has so many of them back from last year's team that they're not going to miss a beat. But things are going to be tougher
Right.
for them this year for sure. I do like MoFlo. I mean, do we see a repeat of the championship game? Do we? I mean, it could be. But I agree with you with Cedar Brook. I think Cedar Brook is going to be right there.
Yeah,
I really
yeah.
do. I think they're going to be that story, like, the last place straight to the top of the division. I think they're going to be
Right.
one of the top 3 teams.
And I think Lee Supply is going to be a threat too. They have, obviously a ton of young talent. When you have a player like London Creech in there,
They do.
she's going to make an impact right away and be
Will-
a force player for them.
Will she have a couple of those games where she plays like a freshman, dare I say? But now
Perhaps.
that's so different now, though. I mean, because freshmen are out there balling.
Yeah, we
But-
saw it during the high school season.
Does she have a couple
It's-
games where she play, 6 to 8 points instead of the 16 to 18 like I'm expecting every
Right.
game from them? And the thing is, Caitlin's going to let her play. She's going to let her grow. And again, that's what this league's all about.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
I do think AMD is the team to beat.
Listen,
Congratulations on jumping on the train from last
I'm
year.
man enough to admit when I was wrong, and that team proved me wrong last year. Kaylin Phoenix stepped up in a huge way. Obviously, the year before, they had a lot of talent. Bella Scoble was helping lead that team. Ashley Gadone was, I think, the MVP,
she was the MVP.
of the league 2 years ago. So Kaylin Viennick stepped in and did a great job of being MVP, and I'll say right now, I think Eden Williamson is probably going to be the favorite to be the most valuable player this year. So if she could step in, and I think she will, of being the leader of that team.
So let's make that prediction. Is she your MVP this year?
Well, yeah, Tori Sadesky's the MVP in terms of being on the best high school team. I mean, let's be real. But Eden Williamson, I mean, she was one of the best players last year. I think her and Clutter are going to be two of the best players this year. I think Clutter, being on that Cedarbrook team, having Katie Hoff and just players around her that are going to open things up more for her, and she's going to open up things I think more for Katie Hoff as well, who I think in her own way can be an MVP candidate. But I'll give my edge to Eden Williamson.
I like that pick. I do. I'm going to say Hannah Puglisi is going to be MVP.
Okay.
According to Coach Chad, she's cut. She's more muscular. She's stronger, and she was so strong last year. I think, if we get away from the MVP got to be on the winning team thing, I think Hannah Puglisi is somebody that can really take a huge step. I mean, she made a huge impact last year.
Yeah.
But I think she could take an even bigger step this year. But I like Clutter, from Cedarbrook as well. And obviously, Williamson's in that conversation as well. So, yeah, there's so many good players. It's up in the air.
Yeah. Going to be exciting to see what occurs here in the girls division of the Mon Valley Independent Summer Basketball League. When we come back, we'll talk about the boys division and break that down.
Welcome back to Season 2, Episode 1 of the Inside the League for the Mon Valley Independent Summer Basketball League. I'm sports editor Jeremy Slew, and to break down the boys division, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Mr. Jose Negron. And what did you see from the boys last week while I was away?
A lot of talented kids picked first round throughout the entire draft. A lot of young talent picked as well. We'll kind of talk about the schedule first. This is a league where obviously you have your star players. Last year Rodney Gallagher came in and won MVP. He became a star. Devin Whitlock has been a star in this league for a while now. Braden Reynolds made a huge impact for B Graphics. But a lot of star power coming into this league as well, and a lot of players coming in that weren't in last year's league that heard about it. They saw it. They came to some games. Their teammates are a part of it, and they knew they wanted to be a part of it. They knew they wanted to get better, and they knew they wanted to come here to do it.
It's exciting because, we're going to kick off on Tuesday. We got a new coach in the league, and now Ringgold head coach. No more interim tag for Matt Rowland. And our guy, MVI court kicks himself, Casey Mack. Can't wait to see the shoe power he brings to the game. He'll start off at 7 o'clock on Tuesday against our buddy Naz Victoria's Campy's Pizza team. At 8 o'clock, a rematch of the championship game. What a game that was. B Graphics and Farmers Insurance. It's the first Gallagher-Whitlock rematch of the year. And at 9 o'clock, it's Elite Physical Therapy, who, just looking at the draft boards, I think they're going to be one of the most improved teams this year.
Yeah.
They're going to play Union Cleaners and Coach Kevin Kovac. And then looking quickly at Thursday, Elite and Campy's in the 7 o'clock game, B Graphics, Union Cleaners at 8, and at 9 o'clock, Farmers and Howard Hanna. But yeah, you mentioned B Graphics, defending champion, all the star power they had last year. Not quite as much as last year, but they still have, obviously. It all starts with Rodney Gallagher. Quentin Martin, our breakout player of the year, only a sophomore.
Yeah.
Over almost a 40-inch vertical jump. I mean, just to see how he's progressed and getting to watch him in this league for his second year here, I think that's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, and you look at some of the other players. They bring Ty Wanacue back, Alonzo Wade from Bell Vernon, Shea Champagne, who they traded. They actually gave up their second-round pick, traded it to Elite Physical Therapy to get Shea Champagne. Trey Champagne's actually going to miss the summer with an injury, so Shea's going to kind of go right in there and fill that void.
Sure.
And Tim Tyree is very excited to bring him on board. And these are the defending champions, and they added a lot of talent in last this week's draft, starting with Jaden Pratt, a
Right.
senior from Laurel Highlands. We saw him during the high school season.
Good size.
Good size. Came off the bench at times for the Mustangs and really made an impact. So he provides that size, and that's what B Graphics wanted to add to this team. They didn't have a ton of size, and they wanted to add to that.
And think about, you're going to have Ty Wanacue and Jaden Pratt possibly on the floor together.
Yeah.
You're looking at two players that are 6'6".
Yeah.
Who in the league has the size to match up with that?
Right, and you have to replace a kid in Braden Reynolds who brought some size as well.
Right.
He was one of the top scorers in the league last year, and I think Jaden Pratt can fill that void in a sense as well. Provide 15 points per game or so.
Well, not even that, but then they add Christopher Barish from Carmichael's. He scored 20 points a game this year.
Who was, I think, a huge steal. I think he was picked in the middle rounds, I believe.
Yeah.
So he was a huge steal. I know. I think the reason why he was picked in the middle rounds because he's a senior. But B Graphics, they're in a win now mode.
Right.
They're defending champions. They're determined to win a championship for the second straight year. And plus, when you have a player like Rodney Gallagher leading the way, you got to take advantage of the 2 years left of eligibility that he has in the league, and you got to focus on bringing in players that can help win a championship this year and next year.
And then you add, Savion M.D. Stroud from Chartiers Valley. There's the Braden Reynolds effect right there. He played with Braden the last couple years, and Chartiers Valley wins. So you bring that winning pedigree onto a team that already, has a title in hand.
Yeah.
And they add Timothy Kershaw, another talented freshman from Monessen. I mean, we'll get to the predictions.
We'll get to that later, yeah. Looking at Campy's Pizza, only four picks for Campy's because they got a whole lot of returning players, including a handful of sophomores, Charlie Milad from Elizabeth Ford, Eli Teslovich from Shady Side Academy, Michael Mahowski from South Allegheny, Traveris Rowe from McKeesport is back, Will Wagner, a senior from Charleroi, and Braden Patterson, a senior from Washington. So Campy's probably brings back the most talent, and I think they added to it in a very good way. Evan Berger was the first round pick for Campy's. We knew that Naz Victoria had been looking at him, since he saw him play against Belverde in the regular season opener against Belverde. So, it's going to be interesting to see what that Thomas Jefferson sophomore can do. He's a three-point machine, and they needed that three-point threat. I think Naz alluded to a instance where they went, I think, 2 for 23 from three-point range.
I think it was nearly 2 for 30 something.
Yeah, so
it was bad.
It's going to be
it was real bad.
So Berger comes in, and we saw what he was able to do as a freshman for the Jaguars. Dom DeSico really loved the way that he came in, whether it was him starting or him coming off the bench. He lit a spark in that TJ team as only a freshman. So definitely a big addition for Campy's Pizza. They add Beth Center sophomore Brody Tharp. Obviously, his head coach Billy Greco is on the staff at Campy's.
If Billy Greco is there,
they win.
Okay.
They win.
They win when Billy G's there.
When Billy is at games,
no offense,
they win
Naz,
games.
but it's a
when
fact
it's just
of the matter.
Naz, they don't. It's a stat. We have
It
the
is a
statistic.
statistic.
We look into analytics, and that's the number one analytic is that when Billy's there, you win. So Billy, make sure you free up your schedule. And then they add two other sophomores, all sophomores, by the way, that they drafted. Isaiah Gonzalez from Kiski area and Lorenzo Gardner from Monessen, who we saw pretty talented as well.
Yes, and the thing, was there any doubt from the first high school game we saw this year that Naz was going to pick Evan Berger in the first round?
No, as long as he was there at, pick number 3? Pick number 4? 3 or 4?
I don't remember. I wasn't there. I did watch it.
As long as he was there, Naz was going to get him, and it's a good pick. Evan Berger, he has size, and he can play defense. Naz alluded to that as well at the draft. He talked about the second matchup against Laurel Highlands when Rodney Gallagher had that game-winning three-pointer, and Berger had his hand in his face, and it was incredible defense.
And I heard Gallagher talking about that. He said he couldn't have guarded me any better.
Yeah,
it just I made the shot.
Yeah.
But I think the key for Campy's is going to be Teslovich and how much he grew from being in the league last year, how much he grew from his year at Shady Side Academy. They had a nice run. He's going to become the floor leader for this team right away this year, and then that puts Will Wagner off to where he's more comfortable. He doesn't have to be the point guard. He doesn't have to be the main ball handler. And then you got Traveris Rowe, who, with the added addition of Berger being able to be out on the wing, Rowe can do what he does best, and that's attack the basket.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this Campy's Pizza team can surprise some people this year. They have young talent. They have guys that are going to contribute right now. Looking at their roster, they have two seniors, a junior, and then the rest are sophomores. So the future of this team looks pretty bright. They're only going to have 3 draft picks next year, so they can add. They can afford to next year if they have a first-round pick and there's a senior there that can make a big difference.
Right.
They can afford to do that with so much young talent.
For sure.
So going to be interesting to see what Campy's Pizza can accomplish this year. We'll move on to Elite Physical Therapy, and it all starts with one of the best players in this league. I think someone who might get overlooked a little bit just because of the Rodney Gallagher and the Braden Reynolds and what they were able to do last year for B Graphics. But Bryce Epps is one of the just most dynamic players in this league, and he's the leader.
He was the second leading scorer last year in this league behind Reynolds. So I think Bryce Epps being there, he gives a different look. He's left-handed, so that's the first thing. And now you got his little brother coming into the league who we seen him last year at halftime. He didn't miss a three-pointer.
Yeah.
He's small. He's only 5'5", listed on the roster, but, he knows how to ball, having Bryce and Antonio as his brothers.
Right.
You look through the lineup, and the biggest addition, I think, for me is Mekhi Valentine coming over in a trade with Howard Hanna. You add him to that mix. He wanted to play with Bryce. Obviously, they know each other. There was a time where Mekhi Valentine took over games last year for Howard Hanna.
Yep.
And having him added with Epps, I think that's something that, teams are going to have to prepare for, because last year it was like, okay, let's take Epps out of the game.
Right.
And he showed a little frustration. But now he has helped. He got Phenon Marion, the senior from McKeesport. He's 6'4", 6'5". I know Veda Epps knows him very well. He said he's been watching him since he was little. And Mekhi Scott from West Mifflin, there were a couple games last year I remember seeing he scored 20 points a game. Right. So I think definitely when you look at things and you say the most improved team, definitely is Elite Physical Therapy.
Yeah, and getting Mekhi Valentine, like you said, they traded Robert Kane for him, and we know Kane had a pretty big impact for Elite Physical Therapy last year. So pretty even trade there as Howard Hanna gets Kane in exchange for Valentine. And then, another Norwin guy. Jackson Pons joins the mix, a sophomore, a talented athlete. We know he's a Division I football prospect as only a sophomore, so he's going to add a little bit there. Isaiah Turner from Elizabeth Forward is coming back. And then, Veda Epps also picked some other freshmen that Cameron is familiar with,
right.
That they've played together and he's played against. So very good draft, I think, by Veda Epps. He got an extra draft pick in there as well when he traded Shea Champagne to B Graphics, so he was able to take advantage of that, get a mixture of young talent and some veteran talent. Added Maddox Lemley from South Park, a senior who's going to probably make an impact as well. Giovanni Santella from West Mifflin. So a good draft there by Veda Epps to add to the talent pool that he already has. And hey, when you have Bryce Epps and Mekhi Valentine leading the way, it's going to make a pretty big impact for them.
Without a doubt. And like I said, most improved team right now. Can it that's at least on paper.
Yeah.
Can it translate onto the court? That's going to be what we're going to find out, at 9 o'clock on Tuesday.
Yeah. We're going to take a look now at Farmers Insurance, and the team that went to the championship last year. I think they were just as good as B Graphics. At times last year, though, they had trouble with getting guys there.
If I'm correct, they ran the table in the regular season.
Yeah.
They had an undefeated regular season until that.
They had a forfeit loss during the regular season as well.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, so that hurt them in a sense, I guess, but just having guys that you can count on to get there is definitely the biggest thing for Farmers. Obviously, Devin Whitlock is the face of this team. He's a senior from Bell Vernon, but they had another senior from Bell Vernon in the first round, and Farmers was willing to take a chance on just having 1 year from Daniel Gordon, and I don't think Cheeks is going to let them regret that decision. I think he's going to come in. We saw the camaraderie and the type of impact that he was able to have with Devin Whitlock during the high school season. We expect to see that during this year as well, but they're going to have some fun this year, especially with Tayshawn Levy there as well, senior from Washington.
And the biggest thing is, we said it all year too, the amount that Daniel Gordon improved his all-around game in last year's high school season. With Whitlock leading the way, if Whitlock wasn't there, Daniel Gordon was easily the MVP of that team. Mm-hmm. He did everything: rebounding, defense, steals, he did it all. So the thing is, for him now, he's working with Whitlock again. They know each other, and you add him to the mix with Levy. He could replace the production he lost from Omar Faulkner in the scoring department.
Yeah.
The thing with Farmers is now they have to replace the double-digit rebounds that they're going to lose with Omar gone.
Yeah, and I think we saw so much last year. Whitlock and Faulkner just coexisting very well together. Whitlock just lobbing it up for alley-oops, which is what he was able to do with Mitch Polott during the high school season, and even Quentin Martin this past season. But it's going to be exciting to see what Dev can do with Daniel Gordon, with Levy. Nick Pecan is back, Hunter Assad from California, and then Dana Zychek did a good job of adding to that. Frank Dervanik, a senior from Chartiers Valley, Gino Maffeo from South Park, and then he added Joey Zychek, his nephew from Chartiers Valley, to the mix, and then two young players in Noah Thimmons from Kiski area, and then Calvin Winfrey III, a freshman from Uniontown, who he looks at as being the guy to fill the role of Dev whenever he graduates.
Right.
Obviously too early to kind of say that what reminds you of him that kind of reminds you of Dev, but he's going to be the guy to be the point guard the next 4 years or next 3 years after Dev graduates, and a good job here by Dana of fill in some roles that can help them win this season, and also getting some youth as well.
And the thing is, the key for this team, I think, is going to be Levy again. There were some games last year he was absolutely unconscious.
I think he had a 40-point game.
He had a 40-point game. I think he hit 8 threes. There was one game I think he hit 10 straight shots or 11 straight shots. I mean, he was just unbelievable. So, you add Gordon to that mix. Again, if they can get the rebounding that Faulkner brought from some of these other guys, they're going to be right back in the mix.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll take a look here at Howard Hanna Wilson Baum. Of course, we talked about it. Under new leadership with Matt Rowland, the new Ringgold head coach, no interim tag, as you said,
right,
and Casey McIntyre as the assistant. We knew that they had some pieces to fill. They had a roster to fill here. Keandre DeShields, obviously the main returning starter, the face of this team. But they added Robert Kane in the trade for Champaign. Tyler Kovac is back. Isaiah Mosley is back. They added there in the first round with Jaden Davis, a freshman from Chartiers Valley, and everybody keeps telling me that they're very excited about this young player. They have him for the next 4 years. Obviously, that's the biggest intrigue there is you have a kid that you can kind of see progress over the next 4 years of his high school career.
I think the biggest thing that Matt Rowland did was get on the phone and call some of these other players.
Right, and he did that while enjoying his family vacation.
Right.
As well.
Isaiah Mosley coming back is huge. Big inside presence. We saw a couple monster dunks last year. Having him back, teaming back up with the Shields. I know Tyler Kovac, he was originally going to re-enter the draft, and he's like, Bell Vernon guy. We're going to stay here. Mm-hmm. You add Trevor Kovac. I know we saw all the middle school scores last year. He was always, 14, 15 points in those games.
Right.
Only a freshman, so his future's bright as well. And, you mentioned Jaden Davis. We hear a lot. Can't wait to see it. But, Chad said, just wait. This kid's going to come on, and he's probably going to take the reins of the face of the league when Gallagher's gone.
Yeah, and I think what this team did well too is getting some young talent. You mentioned Trevor Kovac, a freshman, incoming freshman at Bell Vernon, Zion Moore, who's going to be working with Matt Rowland and Casey McIntyre over the next 4 years, not just in the summer league, but also on the high school team at Ringgold. Mike Sapos from Sarah Catholic, who I think is around 6'3", 6'4".
6'5", yeah.
So he's a freshman that's only going to get better. And then they went and they added DeMonte Kiss, a senior from Laurel Highlands, and they added senior Jake Caruso from Charleroi. We saw the type of season that Caruso was able to have for Charleroi as a junior, so going to be interesting. And we saw what he was able to do last summer as well, playing a pretty key role for B Graphics. So I think he'll have more of a prominent role for this Howard Hanna team as a senior, and a nice mixture here of veteran present, a couple veteran presences, and then obviously some young talent.
And then you mentioned Kiss and Caruso. I think those are two of the streakier players we saw. Once that first or second shot goes in, you got to watch them the rest of the night, because if they're on, they're on. Unfortunately, when they're off, they're off. But, you get 9, 10 points from each of those guys. I mean, you mentioned Caruso. Last year for B Graphics, I think it was their playoff game. He had 10 big points to move him into the championship game.
Yeah,
so.
and we saw how good he was from three-point range during Charleroi season. I think he definitely averaged over 10 points per game last year for Bill Wiltz and the Cougars.
Yeah.
So I think he's a huge addition to this team. Howard Hanna can surprise some people.
I think they will.
I think they can.
And the biggest thing is there's not as much structure as going to be there. I know Matt Rowland said he wants to get up and down the floor. He wants to run. He wants to let his guys run.
Yeah.
It's similar to what he wants to bring to Ringgold's program.
Yeah.
So I think that's something these kids are looking for, is to get out and run, and let's put up 80 points a game. I think that's the biggest thing. And when you have somebody like the Shields that he could hit from anywhere,
right.
literally, I mean, he was shooting from way outside the 3-point line all season long last year.
Right.
So, I mean, you add Robert Kane to that mix, sky's the limit. They just got to put it all together.
Yeah, and it's going to be big for these seniors, too, to be leaders for these young players. A lot of these young guys are going to be tasked with competing right away. Robert Kane's probably the leader of that young group as a sophomore, and already having experience, not just the high school level now, but also last year in the summer, playing under Matt Loftus from Elizabeth Forward. So going to be interesting to see what Howard Hanna can accomplish this year. We'll wrap up our preview here by talking about Union Cleaners, the team that had the most to do on draft night. Only two returning players back in South Allegheny sophomore Justin Beatty and Beth Center senior Ruben Miller. And it all started with the number 1 overall pick in the draft, second straight year where a Laurel Highlands player was picked number 1 overall. Brandon Davis, the junior, goes number 1. And best player available, without question.
Absolutely. Obviously, he came to Laurel Highlands from First Love Academy, so that's a basketball powerhouse in the private circuit. But Davis, we saw him last year against Bell Vernon. I know Bell Vernon won that game, but LH played without Gallagher. So Brandon Davis is going to bring everything. He's going to lay it all on the line. He's going to give 110%. He's going to attack the basket. He can pull up and shoot. He can dish the ball. He could do a little bit of everything, and that's what Union Cleaners needed. After not winning a game last year, you need somebody who you could put the ball in their hands.
Right.
And that's what Coach Kovac got. Obviously, Kovac was familiar with him playing, coaching at McKeesport at the time, and, getting to see Laurel Highlands a few times. They actually beat Laurel Highlands. I think it was last year.
Yeah.
So, but the big thing here is there's a lot of youth. There's some guys that are new to the league. Obviously, Joey DeMoss comes in. Logan Yater, Laney's brother that we have on the MoFlo team. He's out this year as a senior. Ruben Miller, gritty player, the kind that Kovac likes. We saw him a couple times last year for Best Center. But, you mentioned Bakari Wallace from Uniontown. That's a player that Brandon Davis is going to be familiar with.
Yeah.
And I know Coach Kovac was high when I watched the draft while I was away. Dane Givner, a freshman from Obama Academy, he said there's a lot of talent there. It's just a little bit raw.
Right.
So I think Union Cleaners, they may show some struggles this year, but they have that leader in Brandon Davis that they know they can give the ball to.
Yeah, and I think after losing so many seniors, you lose really the face of your team in Nate English, who was their leading scorer last year, Logan Wright, Chaz Murlack, who face of the Mon Valley Independent Summer Basketball.
When you come out in jorts and a wife beater, you're
the face.
You're the face.
You're without question.
Without a doubt.
But you needed a guy like Brandon Davis. And I think the big thing for me is we saw in his first season at Laurel Highlands how well, as the season progressed, he became more comfortable with playing with Rodney Gallagher, playing with Keandre DeShields. They built chemistry. They built camaraderie. And in this league, we talked about it, so much during this show, but that's big. Being able to gel well with the guys that you're playing with for the first time. And Brandon Davis has experience with that now. And I think that's going to help him be the leader of this team. And also, you have a bunch of other kids who are doing the same thing on this team, because these are all new players for the league. But it's going to be exciting to see how these kids in particular on this Union Cleaners team, what they're going to bring to this league, because this is pretty much a brand new team,
right?
So it's going to be interesting to see what they bring to the talent that's already in the league.
It's going to be interesting. Like you said, this is the team that had the biggest turnover.
Yeah.
So how long will it take them to get acclimated? That's going to be the key for them picking up that W.
Right.
They might not get it right away, but they're going to be a pain in the butt for some teams, especially when Brandon Davis can go out and he can give you 40 points in a night.
Right.
You never know. So, Coach Kovac got who he wanted in the draft. He drafted, there's some good mixed seniors, juniors, sophomores. So that team's going to continue to turn over a little bit. But it all starts with Davis.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. All right, Jeremy. Well, this comes to the time in the show. Let's make some predictions. I'll let you get started here. Who do you like to win it all again this season?
I think we're going to see it. I think the league's going to play out almost exactly as it did last year. I think B Graphics is a favorite. Mm-hmm. Anytime you have Gallagher on your team, you're a favorite.
Yeah.
But man, they're going to battle with Farmers again, and I'm going to say Farmers is going to win it all.
Yeah.
Farmers is my pick. Watch out for Elite. I think they're going to squeak into the playoffs as the 3 seed.
Yeah.
So whoever doesn't win the league in that Farmers B Graphics, and we saw it last year, Howard Hanna nearly made the championship game. And
right.
One of those classic games that we've seen so many times. But I like Farmers and B Graphics to get there. I'm going to give the edge to Farmers right now just because they have so much senior leadership on the team.
You know, I like Farmers a lot too. I think that we're going to have a rematch of last year's championship game. I think it's going to be B Graphics and Farmers again. I think that, with Farmers, if they can establish an inside presence, I think that's going to be big for them. We know that they have shooters with Gordon, Whitlock, Levy. Nick Pecan had a really good season for Ringgold last year. We know he can shoot. If they can establish that inside presence and they can just have guys that are going to show up every game, I think that's big. I don't know if I can go against B Graphics just because of the talent that they have coming back. When you have Rodney Gallagher, you have Quentin Martin back, especially that year of Quentin Martin having at Bell Vernon.
Yeah.
Made such a difference.
For sure.
I think going from last summer to this summer, I think we're going to see a completely different player, a player who's going to take over games. And, the thing about Rod, and even we can say the same thing about Devin Whitlock, is these kids aren't just scorers. They are the complete package.
The thing is about these two teams and why I like them both, and seriously, I picked Farmers, but seriously, B Graphics is right there.
Yeah.
It's literally one AA and one BB.
Right.
They're so neck and neck, and I think the key is, though, both of these teams play defense.
Yeah.
Whitlock probably has the fastest hands in the league.
Absolutely.
We've seen it all year long. You add Gordon to that mix, but then you got B Graphics, they're going to put two kids 6'4", 6'5" under the basket.
Right.
On top of that, you add Quentin Martin. You got two kids that are 6'6", and Quentin Martin who could jump to 7, 8 feet, 9 feet.
Right.
It doesn't matter. He's going to jump out of the gym.
Chris Barish isn't the smallest kid either.
Right. He's 6'3", 6'4".
You got him. You got Shea Champagne who can rebound. You got a lot of talent here on this B Graphics team. I think I'd give them the edge, and I think they're going to win it all once again, win back-to-back titles, because you have so much talent here, surrounding Gallagher. And then when it comes to Farmers, same thing. You have so much talent surrounding Whitlock. I'm so excited to see him and Daniel Gordon get to play again together this summer. But I'm going to go B Graphics winning it all, and then surprise team. Dare I say it? Campy's Pizza. Campy's Pizza might be a surprise this year. Looking at what they have, they have the veteran leadership back with Patterson, with Rowe, with Wagner. They're going to need Traveris Rowe to step up this summer. If Traveris Rowe could take that next step, be a more consistent offensive threat, also he provides that inside presence, I think they're going to be a big factor. And I
can agree with you.
Okay.
Dunny, don't shoot threes.
Don't.
I'm not saying you can't make them, man. I know you can.
Evan Berger will
He'll
do that.
take it. Attack the rim, man. Attack it. Jam it. Lay it up. I don't care. Attack the rim.
You will be one of the most dominant players in this league.
Campy's Pizza could be right there. Billy G, don't miss a game, man. Don't miss a game.
Billy G doesn't miss a game, then I think
the streak stays intact.
Naz, if you want to miss a game, that's fine. But Billy can't.
We're just playing. We love you, Naz. Thanks for signing my check.
We love you so much. But
we do.
Still, listen to us. We know we're talking about guys.
I think the surprise team. I think the surprise team for me is Elite Physical Therapy.
Mm-hmm.
I think with adding Valentine and Bryce Epps, that's you see it in all these teams, and that's one thing that was lacking from Union Cleaners last year is that 1-2 punch.
Right.
Now that you have a 1-2 punch there, you add you have Phenom Marion, Makai Scott, Jackson Pons, your guy from Norwin, Go Knights. I think Elite could sneak up there. Do they leapfrog Campy's Pizza for that third spot? I don't know.
For me here, I think it's more of a seeing is believing type of thing. Once I see it, then I'll be like, all right, this team's legit.
Does everybody just get fired up at Casey Mack's shoe game and Howard Hanna blows everybody out.
That's the thing. I don't know if there's a weak team in this division. I think everybody's pretty even. You might have B Graphics and then Farmers Insurance and then everybody else. But I really think that Elite Physical Therapy has the talent here. I think it's more so just seeing it all come to fruition. Campies, you have players that we've seen before. We know what to expect. And then you add guys like Evan Berger, who we've seen before, Lorenzo Gardner, who we've seen before, and then Tharp and Gonzalez, who are two young players that people have been raving about. So
they're unknown, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, those two teams are very intriguing.
As much as I'm so eager to see these games play out, there are rumors that Coach McIntyre will be changing his shoes at halftime for each game. So it's pretty big. That's pretty big, guys.
Yeah, yeah.
And boys and girls. Before let's get to our MVPs first. Who's your MVP for the boys league?
I haven't put too much thought into it because Rodney Gallagher's in the league. So I think it's hard to go against him. I mean, you're gonna have him. I think Dev's gonna be in the conversation like he is every year. How can't we put Dev in the conversation when he was our player of the year in football and basketball? So he's definitely in the conversation, definitely in the mix. Keandre DeShields, I think, will be in the mix. Bryce Epps is going to be a contender, but I don't know. I don't know how you can go against Rod when we know that he's going to put up 20+ per game.
So I'm going to go out on I'm going to take a waiver here.
Okay.
A little flyer here.
I went the safe route.
If Farmers Insurance wins, it's Whitlock. It's going to be Whitlock. If B Graphics wins, Gallagher. That's the money pick. You put your money on Gallagher. I'm going to go Quentin Martin.
Okay.
I was going to say the same thing.
I think the way he progressed last year as a freshman, and you guys know, you watched him in this league, and Coach Tyree kind of shuffled him in, get his feet wet a little bit. The leash is off.
Yeah.
The leash is going to be off this year, and I think Q is going to take over.
Like I said before,
I think he's the MVP.
Like I said before, I think that we're going to see a much different player. We're going to see a much different Quentin Martin. Not just from a scoring standpoint and but a confidence standpoint. Last summer he was a confident player. There's no doubt about that. But he was still an 8th grader coming into 9th grade.
He was 14.
Right. Now he's not.
He's still 14.
No, he's
not only
okay.
Now not only is he a player with a year of basketball experience under his belt, but he's a Division I football prospect. Right. He's a kid who people want to come see, and I think he's going to take that extra step. I think him and Rod are going to coexist just the way that the 1-2 punch in Braden Reynolds and
the
Gallagher
thing for me though is Gallagher. He's such a good kid. He's such a humble kid. He's going to say, "I'm not the MVP."
Right.
It's this kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the thing.
That's the thing about kids and players like Rod and Dev is they're going to make
they never
guys,
take the credit.
They never take the credit. They're the best players on their team. Right. There's no question, but they're getting other guys involved. They're making other kids better, and that's what Dev's going to do for Daniel Gordon. That's what he's going to do for Tayshawn Levy. He's going to do for every player on that roster, and I think Rodney's going to do the same thing.
And that's
for
what
Q
real
and that crew.
Leaders do.
Absolutely.
Right.
So the biggest thing is come watch these kids.
Come early if you want a
it's going to be full.
Yeah, if you want a good seat, come early.
There
everyone.
will be standing room, but only on the one side.
Yeah. We will mention too that for people who can't make it, we will be streaming on MVI Live. We will be back on these mics tomorrow for the girls openers starting at 6:00. So if you can't make it to court time, just turn us on YouTube. We'll be there for you.
If you're a coach or if you're being recruited by a coach, tell them, hey, I'm playing here this day. We'll get them a VIP pass. They come in for free. There's a VIP section behind where we're going to be streaming. Come watch these kids play. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be great. Don't just rely on the streams, because as much as we can show you on the streams, there's nothing like being there live. I'm sure coaches know that. And come on. We got some D1 kids on both sides, the girls division, the boys division. I know Rob Ramsey, who's an assistant at Penn State Fayette. He will be there on Thursday watching some of these kids play. I know he's known him for a while, so I know he's real interested in just coming to watch the kids play. So come out, watch it. we're excited. We're ready to kick this thing off.
Yeah, very excited. Want to thank Court Time Sports Center, of course, as always, in Elizabeth Township for hosting the league this year.
Our 6 sponsors, or 12 sponsors.
12 sponsors on both sides. Thank you for your support of the Mon Valley Independent Summer Basketball
Always.
League. We're excited to get things rolling here. Opening week coming to you. Thank you for tuning into our first episode of Season 2 of Inside the League. For Jeremy Salou, I am Mon Valley Independent Assistant Sports Editor Jose Negron. Enjoy your Sunday, everybody.
See ya.